Let's talk about the food dyes. In so many of our foods, cereals, potato chips, that's just to name a few. And these items are banned in Europe. I mean, their ingredients are always so much smaller. That list is so much shorter than what we see here in this country. You've called for the food industry to, quote, stop poisoning Americans with ingredients not used in those other countries. I have to ask you, why are certain ingredients okay in America, but not around the world, not in Europe?
Well, our FDA is asleep at the wheel. They have not been looking at these chemicals in the last 50 years since they've been invented. Even in the last 10 years, the FDA just recently admitted that they have not looked at the safety studies of red dye number 40, for example, or the fact that they haven't looked at red number 3, which has been banned in cosmetics. You can't use it in lipstick, but it's still allowed in food. It's been banned for over 34 years, but the FDA still allows it in food. So we have this situation right now where our FDA is extremely riddled with conflicts of interest that prevent them from acting. And now we are finally seeing leadership at that national level coming in and talking about these issues in a way that I've never seen before. You know, I've been working on these food issues for a very long time. And now is our chance to get American companies to stop poisoning us with ingredients they don't use in other countries in the exact same product that they serve here in America. In Gatorade, in Doritos, in Cheetos, in Cinnamon Toast Crunch, in Kellogg's Fruit Loops. All of those brands use chemicals that are banned or heavily regulated in other countries. In Europe, they require a warning label that looks like a cigarette type warning label on a product that has artificial food dyes. But here in the United States, parents don't know the truth about how artificial food dyes affect their children and their brains, and the fact that they're riddled with carcinogens, things that cause cancer. And this is something that we have to stop if we're going to look at the root cause of chronic disease in this country.
Vonnie, I have to ask, you said for over 30 years. How does that happen? How has the FDA been able to do this and no politician, no advocacy group has been able to change it?
There's been a lot of advocacy groups that have been on the right side of history. And there's been a lot of advocates like myself and everybody that stands behind me that I call the Food Babe Army. But until now, we have not seen emphasis on these additives from a national level, from a national leadership level like RFK Jr. has proposed. You know, I had the opportunity to sit with him at the Senate and give testimony. And when he heard my testimony, I could see he gets these issues. And he said something so profound after that, on that day, which is if another foreign nation was doing this to us, it would be considered an act of war. This is really terrible that we allow food companies to riddle our food system with additives that have little to no safety data behind them. They don't have third-party checks. They're allowed to create these chemicals to improve profits, but not improve our health. When the FDA is dismantled, when the conflicts of interest are taken out, we can change this. We can actually require food companies to provide safety data before they introduce a new additive into the food supply. And we have to close this GRAS loophole that exists that allow companies to do this. And GRAS stands for generally regarded as safe. But the problem with that is the food companies themselves look at the safety data and they submit it and they basically get it rubber stamped by the FDA. And so this is a situation where we've allowed the food companies to go largely unregulated, and now we see the disastrous rates of disease on our health in America. The reason why we feel so much better when we go to another country to eat is because of these food additives. You know, they're called food additives, but they don't actually add anything to our lives. They actually take away years.